The people on planet P. In a mid-sized galaxy somewhere towards the center of the known universe was a rocky planet that spun on its axis and orbited around its sun with unfailing regularity, in the process experiencing day and night and four distinct seasons. This was planet P, and it had plenty of water and a sufficiently dense and stable atmosphere to support organic life. It was teeming with a profusion of life: plants, insects, animals, birds, and marine life. The most evolved form of life was a four-limbed animal that walked upright on its legs, lived in homes that it built on its own, and moved around in vehicles it had built itself that let it move on land, water, and air. The name of this intelligent species of beings or people was Pinjolians, and they lived a good and happy life as their planet was well endowed with natural resources, rivers and oceans to fish in and travel on, extensive forests to gather fruit and hunt animals for food, and vast expanses of farmland to grow grain and vegetables. The Pinjolians lived on four different continents, separated by the ocean, but were in close touch with each other by way of trade, travel, and often marital and family ties. There was peace between the people living on the four different continents, as there wasn't any reason to detest each other or covet what anybody else had, as everybody lived pretty much the same kind of life. The only time the Pinjolians ever competed against each other would be in the annual sports contests between the people living on the four continents. The games were organized alternately in one of the four continents and were run according to very strict rules and regulations, which were scrupulously observed by all the participants. Though there was a healthy rivalry between the four continents and the annual games were a very important part of the people's lives and culture, there was never acrimony involved. The participants in the games were free to join the team of a continent other than their own, the only condition being that they should start living on that continent along with their families. That was the way things were on the idyllic planet P, with its inhabitants living a largely peaceful and serene life till there was a tumultuous event in their lives which would threaten to alter their way of life for good. It was the arrival of an alien species of people from a faraway planet Earth, who, while they appeared quite similar to the Pinjolians in the way they looked, were very different in the way that they thought. When the spacecraft first crash landed in one of the thick jungles of planet P, the Earthlings were amazed to find a planet so much like their own, and with flora and fauna quite similar to what was found on their home planet Earth. They were even more amazed when they came across the Pinjolians, a species that was almost identical to theirs. Soon the Earthling visitations became quite frequent on the planet, and a regular discourse between Pinjolians and the Earthlings began. The Pinjolians were quite amazed by the technological advancement that the Earthlings had achieved, which the latter readily demonstrated by showing the Pinjolians how to hunt better with their weapons, or fly and travel across the four continents in a matter of minutes in their technologically very advanced vehicles, capable of moving very quickly on land, sea, and air. The Earthlings established a permanent station on planet P on land granted by the government of the continent of Zwinga, which grew to 10,000 men, women, and children with time. There they lived in homes that the humans built and ate food that they grew themselves or hunted in the nearby forests. From time to time, they would sample the locally grown produce in the shape of grain, fruit, and vegetables and found that it quite suited them. Once every month, the commander of the Earth Station would meet with the highest personage in the continent of Zwinga, who went by the title Chief Benefactor. His name was Twa, and he held an elected office for life which required him to rule and administer the continent with the help of a similarly elected council of ministers. Twa lived in a grand house made of timber, stone, and mud bricks, neatly plastered over by some kind of glossy material made by mixing a kind of sand and orange crushed stone with an orange hue, bathing the building in a dull orange light. He welcomed his guests from the Earth Station, a large, spacious compound with a wooden floor and a gazebo-like structure overhead, also composed of wood. There were four comfortable reclining wooden chairs in the middle of the room, each with a pair of cushions to support a person's hips and back. The chairs formed a kind of circle, and in the middle there was a table laden with a variety of fresh fruit. Twa was seated on one of the chairs and beckoned to Roy Gordon, the commander of the Earth Station, and his assistant Rahul John to make themselves comfortable on the seats. Twa's chief confidant, Inkpuk, was seated on the chair next to his boss. "So I trust everything is fine on the Earth Station, my friend," he said, with the easy familiarity of someone who is an old friend. "Yes, indeed, it is, Your Excellency. We are all quite comfortable and well settled here on Zwinga, thanks to the incredible hospitality of your people. We cannot adequately express how grateful we are to the people of planet P, and particularly those of Zwinga, for allowing us to be a part of your lives. replied Roy deferentially but confidently. The answer seemed to please Twa, who replied generously, "The pleasure is all ours. We on planet P have learned much from our brothers from Earth and are grateful to you for teaching us how to hunt better and grow more food. Even though we always had enough for everyone's needs, it does give us more time for leisure now that we can obtain more food faster." "Exactly," said Roy. "You even have a surplus which you can trade for goods that might be more readily available on the other continents and thereby better meet each other's needs." "I see what you mean. But to what end? It's not as if we want more." "Well," said Roy, "there's no harm in having more. It makes you happier." "I'm not sure I agree with that. When your people first appeared on our lands in your fire chariots with all your incredible weapons and amazing vehicles, many of us believed that you were the gods themselves. You showed us many wonderful things which made our lives easier, but I wonder if this is really what we want." A frown creased Roy's brow, who replied a little tersely, "Have we, by our actions or behavior, done anything that would be considered even remotely not in the interest of the people, Your Excellency?" "Well, no, Roy, but there has been an increase in quarrels and petty crimes throughout the four continents on account of people having more time on their hands, on account of the faster means of producing food they have been deploying across the continents. And ever since we introduced our methods of food production, we've had an excess of food. And that excess requires us to invest in building granaries where the stored grain often goes bad. In fact, many people have fallen sick eating such grain. Your Excellency, I assure you." "Wait, there is more," said Tuar dismissively. "I've been reading the history of your planet, which your people very kindly translated into our language and presented to us in the shape of those reading documents you call books. It has been a very depressing account of how incredibly short sighted and greedy the Earthlings were, who destroyed the ecology of the very planet that fed them and sustained them. You are technologically very advanced, I grant you. Some of you could leave the dying Earth in spaceships and go on and populate other planets where you repeated your perfidious behavior. We will not let you do Planet P. We will not let you do to Planet P what you've done to so many other planets across the universe. In fact, your forebears had paid us a visit 1,000 years ago, and we have the records of that time with us. We made your ancestors leave, and it is time for you to leave as well. You may be technologically our superior, but are too few and too far from home to be much trouble for us. This was understood by our ancestors, and I'm sure you understand it as well." Roy looked like a thunderbolt had struck him. "Your Excellency, I don't." Tua interrupted him with a smile. "You have the right to be perplexed and amazed, I grant you that. You may wonder how a savage and backward people like us can see through your game. My answer to you is that technological progress does not mean that you have evolved very highly as a race. We let you live amongst us all this while to see if you had evolved to the stage where you could live in peace with others. But alas, you have not. Your people may kindly leave over the next few weeks. We will help you with your preparation in whatever way we can. Perhaps in the future, we will truly be able to live as one family with our human brothers who come in peace."